Wonderful, as always, Kiran Leonard live in session with Utopia of Bog. So, Kiran, would you mind introducing your bandmates, please?
Absolutely, yeah. So going counterclockwise around the room, we've got Mike O'Malley, who's playing the Saturn, which is kind of it's like a big mandolin or a bouzouki. It's got 5 double strings. Then we've got Magdalene McLean, she's playing the violin and is about to play a sampler. Then we've got Joshua Barfoot, who's playing the drum kit and he's about to play a hammer dulcimer. I've got Otto Wilberg, who's playing the bass, and will continue to play the bass for the duration.
Otto, could you not find another instrument as well? Do you not feel a bit left out?
No, I've got loads of other instruments, but they won't let me use them.
Oh, it's typical of them, though, isn't it? Hey, it's all about them, isn't it? That's
Otto's he's a very good bass harmonica player.
He's a very good bass player.
Found, there's many sort of like a low frequency connoisseur, but we haven't found a way to get.
I prefer the low frequency consultant.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, no, brilliant stuff. And so, can we just turn the mandolin type of air down for a bit? Thank you, just while it's been tuned. That'll do it. And so, Kiran.
Sorry.
I was just saying, so, obviously I've followed your career. I've known you for a long, long time. But, of course, you are a northern lad, but you're living in London now. So how did you find kind of integrating with a new musical community, which you obviously have?
Yeah, I guess it's just, taken a while, it's taken a few years. But I think, especially I live in southeast London, and I found that, slightly more conducive to kind of falling into a community, and I guess going to venues where you see the same people rather than it being a different kind of group of people every night.
Right. Okay.
Still find North London a bit alienating.
Right.
So
yeah.
Sort of
sure.
Swapped now. I'm sort of like an ardent southerner.
Right. Okay. Sure. I mean, and it's pretty distracting with the tuning going on. Is there no way we can get around that?
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. I don't want you to be out of tune, but
we can. Why don't we chat and then I will explain the next song while you tune? Sure.
Something like that. Yeah, that'd do better.
And so about so many strings.
Yeah, no, that's it. You're asking for trouble, aren't you? So over the recent years, as I say, I've been keeping an eye on what you've been doing, and the bottom line is that you released some albums and they were kind of promoted, and we knew all about them. But every now and then, somebody would say, "Oh, Kiran Leonard's got something new out," and I always used to joke that they weren't released; they escaped. And so, so what brought this on? Your new album is called Real Home. So what brought that on to this point?
In terms of why have you heard about it, or why is it?
Why have you kind of gone back to the kind of more traditional approach of putting it out and having PR and all that kind of stuff?
I guess it's I think when we were doing the press for it, it's like the first record with choruses for half a decade, right. And that was a big. But also that which I kind of say as a joke, but also genuinely it was kind of a structural device that I had in my head when I was writing the songs for it, trying to write stuff that I guess was less like context dependent, and the sort of songs that could stand on their own as songs rather than I guess records I'd made in the past, including a lot of those secret records that escaped are more kind of long form things, which is fun, but it means if a track is encountered outside of that context, it doesn't really work.
Sure.
So that was a big thing for this record. It wasn't just kind of like a go pop record, which kind of is as well, but it was also about trying to think about songwriting in a way that was constructive and not cynical, I guess.
When you say that, I mean, obviously, you did that session for us where you just had a collection of open-strung guitars, which you played one by one, and I've also seen you playing with the quartet. So, I mean, you're brave, and you always kind of embrace kind of endeavour and all that, which is one of the things that we love about you. So what is the cut and thrust of the album, then, Real Home? What's it about?
I guess it's a product of, moving to a new place. It's called Real Home because it was mostly made in people's houses. It was made in my dad's shed, or kind of in the flats of, I think, everyone here, actually. There's bits of recording around there, which is, it's partly an economic strategy. I'm working on my own. I can't afford to rent a studio out for a week or 2 weeks or whatever, in the way that you can kind of pull money together if you're in a band, I guess. Or, but then that kind of, being forced to do that out of necessity becomes its own aesthetic strategy as well. So I guess, and the songs become about it. Because I find writing words really hard, and the only way I can do it is really write about the writing of the song, I guess.
Right.
So about how you're using words and how you, thinking about the spaces that you're in, and moving between them.
Right.
It just sounds a bit vague, but that's kind of the only way I can think about it. So then the aesthetic strategies of making the record in people's houses informs the subject matter, which is mostly about, I guess, like combating city alienation and trying to find ways to, as you say, find a place in musical communities and live in a communal sort of sociable way when you're in a city that kind of, the driving force is kind of alienation and self-advancement.
Well, you did move to London, though.
I moved.
Having said that,
but not for glory. I followed my partner. She works there.
Sure.
So I was there
right.
but that was a big part of it. I was, when I moved, it wasn't my decision, and so for a long time I found it very alienating.
Right, sure, okay, yeah, I get that. Okay, and so, and you'll know better than I because you followed your career more closely than I have, but not much. And so, always critical acclaim, and then at one point, a few years back, you did decide to kind of just move on. You had real momentum going, and you had so much going, and then you decided to go to university, and then also spend some time abroad. Was that a brave thing to do? I would consider it so.
I did a I did a literature degree. I did Spanish and Portuguese, and then spent time working as an English teacher in Andorra, which is between Spain and France for those at home who haven't heard of it. Which was nice. Yeah, I like Andorra.
Okay, and so that's good. I'm glad. But there was one of the things that tickled me, and it was your dad. John told me about the fact that you joined. Is it called Castella? Is it the sport?
Yeah. So I was very briefly a national athlete. I was a kind of a volunteer member of the Andorran Castellers team, which is an old. I mean, really, Andorran culture is like Catalan culture. It's all it's kind of historically part of Catalonia. And yeah, the Castellers, it's like a human castle building. So the way it works. You sort of you can have hundreds of people on a team, but you can do it with as few as 30 or 40 people. So it's not like high intensity athletic training. You mostly kind of do it for a couple of hours and then go to the pub and eat lots of carbs. But you sort of have a load of people making a circle in the middle.
It's like a massive scrum, isn't it?
That's basically at the bottom you've got a big scrum, and everyone kind of it's hard to demonstrate on your own, but like you got to kind of lean forward with your chest. So you're pushing your chest into the back of the other person behind you, and you link arms. Just realise we're on radio, so I don't know why I'm lifting my arms forward.
That's
like
okay.
that.
It's good
so
for
if
me.
I lift your arms forward like you're a zombie,
yeah.
and you're kind of grabbing the wrists of the people in front of you, and all of that force gets pushed into these four very sturdy, usually short, sturdy blokes,
right,
who are all linked together in a circle, and then to make the castle, basically people of successively younger ages and weights add to the
human tower.
So next you have sort of like adult men and women will climb over this big scrum and get on the shoulders of the sturdy men. Then after that it's usually maybe like teenage boys and girls. Then after that it's younger and younger girls until you have 7 or 8 stories of people, and then a 6-year-old with a hard hat on scrambling up at the top, and then she has to lift a hand up, and there's a band as well that plays a big da 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 at the top, and then but it was an amazing experience. It's like really funny, but it was a genuinely, I don't know, I'm not really very sporty. I never have been. So, but there's something about you really are part of one body.
Big physical mass, isn't it?
All of that force is all pushing together towards one very simple objective, which is build a big tower. I found it a very, very emotional, moving thing. And there is a song about it on one of the Secret records.
Right. I mean, it is amazing because, as you say, you've got the scrum, then you've got the human tower, then you've got this tiny little person with a crash helmet scampering to the top, and when they get to the top, they have to bat themselves on the head, don't they?
Yeah.
And then it all implodes. People should go and have a look at this.
You're meant to sort of disassemble in an ordered way, but sometimes they do fall down. But it's not as dangerous as it looks.
Yeah.
The kids are all right.
You're at the bottom and they're all falling on you. But
it does
anyway.
hurt me, but that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so the album is Real Home and it's out now, and you're going to do another song for us now, and then in between that, you're going to have to tune a little bit, I believe. There might be a bit more tuning going on.
So we'll reintroduce the sitar and tuning now.
Go on,
and
then.
I'll just explain. You know what I'll do is I'll explain the song that we played before, because that's got a good plot to it. So it's called Utopia of Bog. And it was based on an article I read ages ago about rewilding. Should I imagine is that a thing that you're into, like rewilding and?
Not really.
No. Okay. Well, I don't know. I didn't. Lots of people are very keen on it. I'm keen on it as well. But I was kind of... So it's not an anti-rewilding song. I feel like it was about to be really reactionary.
Right.
But it's kind of about... There's something funny about, you know, the whole point of it is you make these big bogs and they're going to be carbon sinks.
Yeah.
And, you know, we can just kind of pull all of this nasty stuff that's in the air and we can just push it underground. And I found that kind of a funny, compelling image, you know. Almost kind of a one that was in denial. I don't know, we can just push all this horrible history underground and then we don't have to worry about it.
Right, okay.
So that was what that song was about. And then, shall I move on to the... And then we'll do this other song called Past Between Houses, which isn't as interesting. The song's good, but it's just about living in London and it being really hard.
Okay. All right, then. So Kiran Leonard and his band live in session.